So I invite you to get comfortable where you are and close your eyes and feel into your body. We're going to do a simple grounding and land acknowledgement. So feeling your bones in this moment, which we'll do a lot more of later, and breathing into those bones that connect you to your chair or whatever you're sitting on. Also feeling the bones of your feet on the floor, and maybe the bones of your hands on your legs or holding the other hand. And simply breathing into these points of contact. Receiving your experience on the in-breath and releasing it on the out-breath. Letting yourself arrive more with each breath and feeling into your presence with your bones and also what is holding your bones, your chair and the floor beneath the chair and the earth beneath the floor where you are. And I invite you to honor the ancestors of the land where you are. Maybe you know their names or not. Honoring that these ancestors are the indigenous first peoples of this land, and that they have created and are creating culture with their relationship to the land. And here in Petoskey, Michigan, it's the Anishinaabe people, especially the Odawa band, Ojibwe and Potawatomi. Honoring that these people have had their land taken from them and their cultures made illegal at times as well by settler colonial peoples. May we find opportunities to learn from the indigenous first peoples and honor their cultures as we come to relate to the land and cultivate our own culture in relationship with the land as well. And all the beings who are here. So you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. Coming back to the group. And yes, Devin, it is definitely no better night to be doing this kind of work. Yes, we need embodiment more than ever. Um, Absolutely. And I know that there may be some people who aren't here tonight who communicated with me partly because there's just so much going on for them around some of this, some of the challenges that we're facing. So, um, sometimes it might be too much for us, and other times it's perfect for us. So, I want to jump in a little bit to what Will and I are doing here, and just thank Will Michael for being here and for collaborating with me and being so open and so supportive over these last several months, especially. And also, we've known each other for about 6 months now, and we met in ceremony, and this process that's been unfolding for me has been unfolding for many years. And I'll share a little briefly about my journey and why I'm doing this and why it's important to me. And then Will share a little bit as well about what it means to him and why he's here. So I would say that my lineages for this work specifically are somatic body work, and my teacher studied with Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen in the body mind centering tradition. And I'm not going to explain all of what that is, and it's mostly about movement and exploration with the anatomy. and that training was inspired by dancing. I'd say dancing for many years, and specifically living in dance community in Western Massachusetts for years, for 5 years, and running a couple different retreat centers where many people came and were learning and teaching and practicing these kinds of things. So I was really steeped in like living, creating culture around the body, which was really amazing. And learning about the indigenous First Peoples there, and also many different traditions of teachers who would come and go. I also have a long-term Buddhist practice with Theravada Buddhism, and lived in Thailand for a while, and also Tibetan Buddhism, and lived in India and Nepal and studied that. And there's many different practices around the elements in those traditions as well. And so I've been integrating what it means to be in a body and to be curious about relating to the elements for a decade or more now, and built a practice called Elemental Earth Body out of what I call moving in grace. And it has become this. And so this is really amazing to be on land where I live now and feel like the land is calling for this work. And that we're all called in this together. So I think that's enough for me in this moment. And I want to invite Will to share a little bit more about what brings him to this work, and sharing the breath work especially.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
going to unspotlight myself.
Oh, okay.
Uh, which, there we go. Okay, great.
All right. Well, this whole, I mean, I've been on a journey for quite a long time, but in the last year, particularly, taking a deep dive into breath work. And it's almost like a dive that just keeps getting deeper and broader all the time. And so I'm just kind of putting all the pieces together because I find so many links with everything that's going on. And I think of breath work more and more. I think of breath work as energy work, and that it's all about the elements. That, I mean, what really attracted me to what we're doing together, Hilary, is, and for everybody else, is just the idea that, as I understand it and what I've worked with the breath, you're talking about really a couple of the elements with air and ether, and the charge of energy that both of those bring to our lives. And when you get the other elements, the water and the earth and the fire part, it's all a big mixture, and that breath work seems to help give life to. I mean, that the breath and those energies, those elements, give life to what we might think of as sort of the inanimate parts of the elements. And so I see all kinds of ramifications in terms of just living a grounded life, living a healthy life, living an expansive life, and going beyond our programming, going beyond sort of the programming of modern life. And to me, working with the elements is part of my goal of getting back almost to my indigenous view of reality. And a lot of the work with breath work also is about doing the same thing, getting out of the monkey mind into the experiential aspects of life. And so I just want to say this as a sort of a statement about my participation and yours with me. Um, one of my goals is that we all leave this journey together with a sense of that breath is really the way we consume life force energy, and that it's not just breathing, it's also consuming nourishment, medicine, dynamic energy that feeds us on levels that food can't feed us, and nothing else can feed the subtle energy parts of who we are. So that's kind of the image and the intention I want you to bring to any breath work we're going to do together, is that you're literally consuming and absorbing life force energy and learning to work with that actively, because that's really what breathwork's all about.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to say that because of this time with COVID and the pandemic, it feels like it's more important than ever for us to be really nourishing ourselves and using this opportunity to go deeper as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm new in this area, and it feels like a perfect opportunity um, to just be with the land and then be with whoever shows up in this ether realm. So we'll be always, of course, connected to all the elements, and the ethers are allowing us to do this together. Um, so we have quite a privilege in many ways, and blessing to be able to do this. So thank you, Will. I'm going to share my screen again, and we can learn a little bit more about what the journey is that we're going to be going on over these 5 weeks. There we go. So, right, deepening connection. This is also a picture right down by the bay here, the Little Traverse Bay, with some ice. And here is a table, an overview, you might say, of our allies that we're going to be working with and learning about and learning with. And so I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I just wanted to show you in one frame that we have earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then we have the body allies that I have aligned with them through my exploration doing this somatic body training. I actually did my final project on connecting the body systems to the earth systems. So I spent a lot of time reading manuals that embodiment practitioners had written, and then just feeling into it and exploring that. And this is what I came out with, and it's always evolving too. So none of this is stagnant. It's a growth in process. And so we're going to work with earth today because it's always helpful to start with stability and some structure and support and nourishment, and work with the rocks and the stones and the magma and the trees and the plants, and just notice what comes up for you in this. And you can call in the body allies and earth allies that support you around these elements too. I'm not saying that I know what's best. This is just what came to me and what works for me. And through this practice, I'll actually be sending out worksheets, I think is probably the best way to call it, that overview each week of the different element, the body allies, the earth allies, as well as the practices of what we're cultivating and the lessons of what we're cultivating too. And then a list of inquiry questions that you can ask yourself after we do each practice. So I won't send it out before the element that we're working on because I want you to just experientially be with it and then to integrate it more with the mind afterwards. So then these are the practices and the lessons, right? So we'll be practicing security and discovering our needs with the earth element, as well as working with the lessons of structure, stability, and simplicity. And you can read through them. I'm not going to go through every single one in this moment. It doesn't feel important to bring all the mind information into it right now, but I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of practice that went into this and cultivation over years, and that we do have some structure for the exploration. And these are the guidelines that we're going to be working with as well, because in this practice there will be quite a bit of sharing together and diving in. And so I'll go over what is the flow for each session after this, but just wanted to say that these are our guidelines for being together in this embodied practice. So R is to take responsibility for what you feel and say without blaming others, and taking care of yourself and being an inquiry about your needs. E is use empathic listening with yourself and others. S is to be sensitive to differences in communication and cultural styles. P is to ponder what you hear and feel before you speak it, and ideally speak it from the heart. And E is to examine your own assumptions and perceptions. And C is to keep confidentiality, meaning that we aren't going to share about other people's experiences that are being shared in the group, outside of the group, and that if we want to bring up something that someone shared in the group who we know outside of the space, that we'll ask them before we bring it up, because sometimes we want to just say something and let it go and not have to talk about it again. And to tolerate ambiguity, meaning that there's no right and wrong, and especially with embodiment, like it's just what is, and to learn to be there more of the time. And then this is just a note to say that, so right, this is an opportunity to be with the not knowing and to following the feeling instead of the mind, and to honor your own body's limits and what your body is calling for. And so if you have any questions, like I said, you can put them in the chat, and you can also feel free to reach out to Will or I afterwards as well. And then that'll go for the sessions. If there's questions that are like about the practice itself, of course we'll answer that, but it's really not a kind of a discussion space so much, more of a ritual process that we'll be in together. And then the session flows will be arrival, about 5 minutes, and we'll always have a video like I did today of really tapping into the element, and we'll ground and center in space and acknowledge the land. And then we'll have a little intro about the session, some movement, guidance, then breath work, and then we'll have authentic embodiment and sharing practice in dyad. So we'll actually go into breakout groups for that, and you'll have time to just authentically feel and move with your partner. And that doesn't mean you have to be a great dancer or mover necessarily at all. You can simply just lie on the ground and feel. And you can also experiment with some of the practices that we just went through and see what might feel good for you in that space while being witnessed. And then you'll get to share with your partner for a few minutes. And then we'll come into a little bit of a group sharing as well. And 30 minutes, we'll see if it's a smaller group, it'll probably be less. So that we can really connect with each other around some of this and support each other. And then I'll initiate this inquiry practice with nature as well, and and give some encouragement around that. It's not required, it's simply just encouragement. And then as we come back each week, we can share about what that experience has been like for us as we're kind of blending these different elements together too. So that's it for the talking piece. Oh, I'm glad you were able to join, Matt. Great to see you. Yeah, so we're gonna get into the embodiment now, to actually get a taste of this practice, because it's really not about the mind. Although it does require the mind, especially if one is guiding it. So I'm going to start out and just... So I wanted to say, part of this is if you have a space in your house or, you know, where you are, where you can lie down, that's really ideal. And to get as comfortable as possible. So if you have blankets or pillows, you can be on your bed, wherever you feel comfortable. And you don't have to have your video on. You can turn the video off and just have the audio too. There's really no need to see me or see Will either. It'll be more audio guided. So get comfortable wherever you are. And you can lie down. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes as well. Just making sure that you can hear. And I invite you to feel into your connection to the floor again. And focusing on your bones. These parts of the body that are the most solid, apart from the teeth and the nails. So feeling into those bones with your awareness, with your breath, with your movement, with touch, and with sound as well. And you're invited to follow your own guidance at all times during this practice. Simply use my voice as some support for you to tap into your own guidance. So as you presence your bones, especially those parts that are touching the floor or the bed or whatever you're lying on, breathing in through those connections and breathing out, releasing whatever you're ready to release. Feeling the support, the stability, and the simplicity of simply being with the bones. Breathing in, receiving that support and stability and simplicity, and breathing out, releasing whatever is up to be released into the earth, giving yourself over to the topsoil and to the rocks and the stones and the sediment. And you can bring touch if that supports you to feel your bones, feel how supported you are. You can bring sound, resonating those bones. And acknowledging that there are layers to these bones. There's the outer layer that is a little bit slippery. And then there's that inner layer, the compact bone that's more solid. We're going to focus there on that solid, compact bone, even though it is hollow inside as well. So feeling that, and also noticing that in this stability and support, there's connection from bone to bone. So breathing into these connections, breathing into the joints between the bones, and feeling those connective tissues, especially the ligaments that connect bone to bone. So bringing your tools of movement and touch and breath and awareness to these ligaments, especially in the pelvic area where there are so many ligaments. It's like a nest of roots. So allowing yourself to explore mobility and flexibility with the stability and structure of your bones as well. Exploring that these ligaments allow us to stretch connective tissues like the fascia that wraps around the bones and the organs and pretty much every part of the body, that allows us to move one part and to have all the other parts move easily as well. So allowing your body to move and shift in any way that would be supportive for you to explore. And you can also send some tendrils of those ligaments and connections down into the earth, into the topsoil, growing those connections down, especially with the breath. Growing your awareness of how connected you are to the land. And also breathing those roots down into the sedimentary layers, growing down further and further, and breathing in whatever nourishment you need from these layers as well. Breathing that into your body, especially into the marrow in your bones, into that hollow of the bones where you are growing new blood. And as you grow these roots down, further and further, eventually into the magma in the core of the earth, that molten lava core, where the earth is now liquid. I invite you to connect that magma with the marrow in your bones. This marrow where you hold the stories of your ancestors. And so I invite you to call in any supportive, healthy, healed, and whole ancestors to be with you in this journey tonight and in your life, whether you know them or not. Just simply breathe in whatever support there is for you to access right now. Breathing that support into your marrow, as well as receiving these body allies and earth allies as fully as you can into your marrow. You can bring some sounding in if that supports you. As well as touch and movement. Honoring that there is a new earth growing from the center of the earth, and a new you that is growing out of the center of your bones. So I invite you to draw in whatever nourishment you need into the center of your bones, as well as to be in inquiry about what are the needs that you have that may not be getting met right now. Acknowledging whatever feelings arise around that question, and inviting clarity, inviting the unknown to make itself known. And inviting even a sensation of what it would be to have those needs met from within you, to meet yourself as fully as possible. that is present. And you can stay lying down. And we're going to simply transition to Will sharing some breath exercises with us.
Okay, I invite you to begin a series of nice, long inhales of breath, a full breath, beginning with filling the belly, then up to the heart, stretching the lungs, drawing in the energy, and then a long exhale, just letting it go. So if you will, I'll try to breathe loud enough so you can follow my breath for a few moments, just to get the pace down. So it's going to sound like this. Think of the inhale as the charge of energy, and the exhale as the discharge. If you like, when you're inhaling, imagine that you're drawing in dynamic, radiant white light. And imagine it filling your lungs, radiating out throughout your body, charging your body with electricity, electromagnetic energy. Then when you're ready to exhale, just let it all go. Release, let go. Purge anything that doesn't serve you. And begin another full deep inhale. Now we're going to do it a little more, pick up the pace a little bit. It's going to be about half of that length of inhale and half the length of the exhale, but still about even inhale and exhale, starting with charging up on the inhale, pulling in white light energy, letting it all go on the exhale. Fully in and fully out. Fully in and fully out. Now just for about 10 more breaths, we're going to go a little quicker even than that right now. And as always, just slow down your breath if you're feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed. But otherwise, let's try to go more rapidly with a sort of a 1-1 pace. So it's like this. Stick with the breath. Keep the breath moving. Nice, full, but smooth, not too much effort, but stretching a little bit. A few more moments. When you're ready to take the next inhale, take a nice full inhale and hold. And then exhale all the air out of your lungs. And just pause your breath. Just suspend your breath and experience the silence. Experience the moments of stillness. So as long as you want to, just let your breath be suspended, knowing that you can take a nice, deep, slow breath whenever you need to. But for now, just experience the energy in your body. Experience the energy, the vibration, the increased frequency, and just allow it to be absorbed into the bones of your body. Allow it to be absorbed into every cell of your body. Allow it to be absorbed and nourishing every cell of your heart, of your brain, of your microbiome, moving into all the tissue, the muscle, and all the way down and into the marrow of your bone. And whenever you're ready, you can take a nice slow inhale now, if you haven't already. And now your goal with the breath is just to get the breathing back to normal. And once you get the breathing back to normal, then I want to ask you to slow it down as much as you can. Slow down the inhale very slowly so that you can't even hear yourself inhaling, but be very conscious of inhaling. And also slow down the exhale so that it's a silent and what we call an invisible breath. Invisible in the sense that you're breathing so slowly that somebody watching you could not tell. That's your goal. You will have some movement, but it'll be very subtle. So as you breathe in this slow, conscious, paced way, continue to just simply absorb and experience the experience of the energy flow in your body. And focusing particularly in this phase on just meditating on that energy, not only going deep to the deepest core of your being, deep into the bone marrow, deep into every cell, and even deep enough to move into the spaces of your DNA, of the double helix of your DNA between the chromosomes, and literally let this energy start to reprogram your actual DNA structure in the direction of what you would like to come about in your life, your goals, your visions. Also, let this energy clear any programs or codes that are needed in your life, but you have somehow had them muted or come to not trust or rely on them, particularly those codes that allow you to connect to the elements, to all of the elements, particularly the earth element. Also spend some time just visualizing and visioning all the qualities that you want to move forward in your life experiencing. And literally visualizing these as becoming part of the hologram of your genetic code. Images like total and complete health, total abundance, peace, joy, powerful relationships, powerful connections to everything and everyone. Just spend a few moments just experiencing the calm that's coming in as your body relaxes. Into this moment. Then whenever you're ready, I want you to take a nice full deep breath like we were breathing earlier. Allow that energy to come into your body to bring you back to the moment. Sort of focus now on your fingers, your toes, the bones in your body. Focusing on the connective tissue that allows you to move your fingers, move your toes. When you're ready, you can stretch your legs, stretch your arms, and move very slowly now. You don't have to jump up at all. Just start to move in the direction. When you're ready, you can turn to the side, kind of gradually pull yourself up. Be very careful and cautious till everything is coordinated back in the sense of you're back in your body and you're ready to move. And you can come back to your computer or come back to a seated position, whichever feels right to you right now.